Good evening. I want to take you back 2,000 years to a small clay jar dug up outside Baghdad in 1936. Inside it, archaeologists found nothing more than a rolled copper tube and an iron rod. And yet this humble object has sparked one of archaeology's most stubborn debates. Did ancient Iraq actually discover electricity? Tonight, let's open that jar together. Before we even describe the object, let me give you the scale of the claim. This jar may be more than 2,000 years old, nearly 2 millennia before Alessandro Volta built his famous battery in 1800. That is a staggering idea. Electricity glimpsed long before the modern world. Of course, a big idea demands big evidence, so let's look at what was actually found. The object itself is wonderfully simple, a ceramic pot roughly 14 centimeters tall. Inside it, a rolled sheet of copper forming a tube, and through the center, an iron rod held in place and sealed with bitumen. 3 ordinary materials, clay, copper, iron, arranged in a way that should not, on the face of it, mean anything. But someone saw much more. That someone was Wilhelm Koenig, a German archaeologist. In 1938, 2 years after the dig, he was examining artifacts in the Baghdad Museum when he paused over this little jar. He recognized the arrangement as something remarkable, a galvanic cell, and he went on to publish the idea that the ancient Parthians had built a working battery. That is the hypothesis we now need to test. Here is how Koenig's theory works, and it is genuinely elegant. Take 2 different metals, iron and copper, suspended in an acidic liquid like vinegar or wine. The acid acts as an electrolyte, and the 2 metals produce a flow of charge. In principle, that's exactly how a battery works, and it would generate somewhere around 1.5 to 2 volts, so the mechanism is real. The question is whether the ancients actually used it. But now the dream meets reality. Yes, the jar could produce a voltage, around 1 volt at best, but voltage alone is not power. The amperage was far too low to gild a ring, let alone plate objects. Critics point out this tiny output couldn't have powered anything practical. So if it was a battery, what on earth was it for? That's where the skeptics sharpen their case. And so we arrive at the central standoff of this story. On one side, Koenig's camp, a galvanic cell intended for electroplating. On the other, the skeptics, a low-power device with no wires, no refillable electrolyte, and no written record. Some archaeologists instead link the jar to magical incantation bowls found alongside it, tools to ward off demons, not to generate electricity. Same artifact, 2 completely different worlds. Let me put the skeptic's strongest point in plain terms. If the ancients truly had a battery, we would expect some trace, a wire, a text, a descendant device. We have none of those. Not a single wire has ever been found. No ancient writer mentions such a device, and no later culture seems to have adopted it. That silence is deafening, and it is the heart of the case against the battery. And yet, here is the strange thing. Even though the battery theory struggles, the idea simply will not die. It has survived for decades through documentaries, books, and countless debates. Why? Because it flatters us with a thrilling thought, that the ancients were more clever than we assume. The mystery outlived the science, and that, I think, is worth our attention. I'll let the debate speak for itself. The engineering site Interesting Engineering put it best. Was it a tool for electrochemical energy storage, or does its significance lie elsewhere? The debate continues. Notice that they don't offer a clean answer, because there isn't one, and perhaps that's the point. So where does that leave us? The Baghdad Battery probably wasn't a battery, but it doesn't matter. What matters is that one small jar has kept the world asking questions for nearly a century. It reminds us that history is full of objects we don't fully understand, and sometimes the mystery is worth more than the answer. Thank you.